Mic check one. Mic check two. So you can either have his mic with a magnet yourself, okay, or it clips. Which way?
I'll clip it onto the shirt to make sure. Be fine.
I got it. It can be clipped on or magnetized on, whichever you prefer.
I just clipped it onto the middle.
Down here, yeah.
Oh, you're doing the intro, sorry. Keep yours, give me yours.
Okay.
Did we start? Yes, it starts.
Okay.
Thank you. Perfect. So, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us on. Thank you for joining us on what is going to be a very interesting tasting. We started this one as a grape and wine, let's say, tasting, and it evolved into, I don't know, rum and barley or cane and barley, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we did a bit of research. We tried to find distilleries that had whiskey and rum and tried to find the two liquors together. So we managed to find them. We got some very interesting guests that are going to give us a few more details around the distilleries, the rums, and how everything came to be. And then, yeah, we'll go through the first four samples and have a quick break, and then go through the rest of the samples and wrap up. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy this. And without further ado, I'll hand over to Garrett to tell us a bit about Ahaskra and the first sample.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here. Thanks, Alex and the team for the invite. I know a few people here, which is always good. Yeah, my name is Gareth McAllister. Along with my wife, Michelle, we founded Ahaskra Distillery. Anyone heard of us or know where we are? Oh, that's a start. That's good. Yeah, well, Ahaskra is a small little village just north of Ballinasloe in East Galway. It's very famous for two reasons. One, it held the Guinness Book of Records for the most pints of Guinness consumed per capita once. And it holds the current record for the most elected TDs per capita of a village.
Are they linked?
And they're probably linked, yeah. Like Mary Harney's from there, Eamon Gilmore's, where all the kits are from there. So it has produced a lot. And if you remember the show with Sean McCreef and Darragh O'Brien, Don't Feed the Gondolas, they often did a skit about a Ahaskra. Okay, because Sean Moncrief is from Ahaskra. Okay, but the real way you say it is Ahaskra, not Ahaskra. If you say Ahaskra to a real person from Ahaskra, you're gone. You're not going to get very far in the village. So yeah, we came across this village 6-7 years ago. There was an old mill there, beautiful old flour mill, and we bought it, and we spent the last number of years restoring it, bringing it back to life, and then finally, last July, we opened it as our distillery, where we make our spirit for whiskey and also our gin. Everything that we have on the market at the moment in terms of whiskies, whether it's the Clancullas here, the Clanculla range, which goes from 7 years up to 20 years, and then Oosh, which is this one here. This is our kind of our premium entry-level triple blend. Everything is basically finishing of maturation, blending, finishing, bottling, labeling. Everything is done in Ahaskra, except for the spirits that we currently have in the market haven't been distilled there. But we are distilling for now nearly a year, just over a year, and in hopefully 2-3 years' time, we'll have our own spirit, Ahaskra spirit, flowing into these brands as well. So there is a leaflet on the table if you want to come and visit us. We do tours. We have 3 tours every day, 7 days a week. We've got a cafe, visitor centre, and a restaurant. So that's the pitch done. If you ever want to come, it's a good day out. Okay, so what we're getting on to this tasting. This is the 19-year-old This was our first, this is Michelle and I's first whiskey release. I think it's out 3 years now. We've been collecting casks and buying casks for about 12 years, okay? There's a little distillery up in County Louth that's been storing and maturing our casks for us. But we've been buying like single malt, and we came across this batch. It's ex-Cooley. It's double distilled, single malt from Cooley. Noel Sweeney claims he did this back in 2001. I'm sure Jack had a helping hand in it as well. Definitely training Noel Sweeney anyway. So this is ex-Cooley, double distilled. We bought it when it was about 14 years old, and actually 13 years old. And we've been finishing the maturation in a Haskra. And we source our sherry finishing casks from Sanchez Romate. They're a sherry house in Jerez, where we get our PX casks, we get our Olorosa casks. We've got some also Paolo Cartoda wine, sherry wine casks, and also some Cardinal casks from them. We've been going there the last 3 years, once a year. I'm buying select casks from them. So this has been finished in Oloroso. It's the dry sherry casks from Sanchez Romate, Jerez in Spain. Basically, they season the casks, empty them, seal them, send them over to us in a Haskra, and we do the finishing all there. So this is the 19-year-old. It was our first release. Doing quite well. So we probably better drink it. I think it's the top left. So yeah, so it's a classic single malt with a classic sherry finish. So on the nose, you will get those usual, I think you get those usual good caramel, nuttiness, malty notes coming through, but then also some of the fruits coming through from the sherry, from the Oloroso. Gonna have a taste. Let's launch, everybody.
It's very dry.
Very what?
Dry. It's super dry.
Yeah.
How long
The dry from the sherry, yes, that's the dry sherry. Huh?
How long were the casks used for the sherry?
About a year. This batch was about a year. It was actually just under a year. Once you get a good summer, the finishing goes faster, you know. If you try to finish over the winter, you're not going to make much progress. But if you get a good summer, you can finish a lot faster, which was the case with this 3-4 years ago. So on the taste, you should be getting your usual good, caramel, toffee coming through from the malt, and then obviously the dried fruit coming from the sherry. And as Alex said, it's a dry sherry, Oloroso. So that's quite strong. And then on the finish, it is a long-lasting finish, which is probably because of its age, 19 years old. But it's very smooth finish, and you're getting that sherry influence again coming through. Who are fans of double distilled versus triple distilled single malts? Who prefers double?
It's more the character of the spirit there,
Yeah,
I believe.
absolutely.
That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean to do squash generally.
No, and I agree with you. And the single malt that we're making in the Haskra now, that spirit is all double distilled.
Okay.
We only triple distill the pot still. We don't triple distill the malt.
And will it be peated, ever, non-peated? What are they?
No, we're not putting peat in the distillery. Sorry. We do. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. Once you put peat in, you're never going to get it out, and it's it's just so more complex to manage. But we do have a peated finish whiskey, the 11-year-old Colla, and actually there's a bar of chocolate for everybody, I think. And that's our chocolate made with our 11-year-old Colla, which is a peated finish whiskey blend. Yeah. So if you want some, that's how we do our peated. We just finish in peated casks. So what do you think of that? Do you know what the story of the Colla is? Anyone heard of that? Who the Colla are? Where we got the name from?
Well, it was a family.
It was a family.
Colla
No,
A can, you might say.
Well, Clan Colla was a very famous Irish whiskey brand in the 1800s. It was made by the McAllisters in the 1800s in County Antrim, Ballymena. The distillery is not there anymore. It's now a large hotel convention centre. But Clan Colla was quite successful at its time, during its time. In the 1920s, that distillery went south, like a lot of Irish distilleries did. And the brand Clan Colla was sold to Guinnesses. Now, thankfully, Guinness did nothing with it, and we were able to re-register it and bring it back into the family a number of years ago. So it was kind of a revival kind of project for us to bring Clan Colla back. But Clan Colla basically is about three brothers. Colla Ush, Colla Men, and Colla Fo Cree. And these were three brothers who conquered all of Ireland and parts of Scotland in the 4th or 5th century, way back then. Okay, but it's true, it's all true. And Colla Ush became the High King of Ireland. And there's a whole story about how he did that, and you can see it on our website. But that's why we named our entry-level blend after him, the High King of Ireland, Colla Ush. And that's what, it's not, he's not Braveheart, he's not the Witcher. A lot of people think that's what he looks like. But we actually got a historian-trained illustrator to come up with his image. But in the end, we just based it on our son's face. Our son Luke, who's our brand ambassador, that's kind of looks like him, and that's how we based it on. So anyone who's got a typical Irish or Scottish surname is part of the Clan Colla, because all the descendants from those three brothers, that's where the Clan Colla comes from. So if you have a typical Irish surname, you can actually get a DNA test to see if you are part of the Clan Colla. It's available in the US, but that's the story of Clan Colla. All right.
Will there be, I know you've got the core of Colla Ush, will there be Colla Fo Cree or other colours?
There might be.
There might be.
There might be. We'll see. But
And do you want to mention anything about the distillery being green? Green.
oh yeah, yes. Sorry, I should mention that. Yeah. By the way, full disclosure, there's a man in this room who's helped me with this distillery from the beginning, and that's obviously Dr. Jack O'Shea. And without him, we wouldn't be up and running the way we are today. So thank you, Jack. It's not your typical distillery. There's two things that are pretty different about it compared to others. One, it's an eco distillery. It's powered completely with green electricity. So we use very high temperature heat pump technology to get to the temperatures you need. We don't use steam, it's all hot water and at various temperatures and pressures, and that provides the energy to the distillery. So the spirit that we're producing currently is classified under sustainability as zero energy emissions. We have not burned any oil or gas. It's completely decarbonized in the making of our spirits. The second thing is we use separation of our mashing and filtration. Most distilleries have a Lauterton, where you got the mashing and the filtration in the one vessel. We've got that split. We've got a mash conversion vessel, and we've got a filter press or mash filter. The only other distillery I know of in Ireland that does it that way is Waterford. So they're the two things that are different. But do come and visit us. There's tours, I said, 3 times a day, 7 days a week, and a lot to see, a lot to do. And you can also taste our samples. And we do tastings of our spirit as well. If you're interested in tasting what our spirit is from Mahaska, you can go on the tour and taste that as well. So, yeah, thanks for reminding me. That was good.
Evening, everybody. My name is Adam McCoy O'Grady. I work with a man called Jason Kidd, who set up a brand called Outcast Brands. One of his liquids that he was the brains behind was Two Shores rum. So I'm going to give you your first rum to taste this evening. I don't know what the level of knowledge in the room is around rum and online, so I'll give you a little bit of a top view on it. Rum comes in a number of different styles. So there's Spanish style, there's British style, and French style. We are made in a Spanish style. So there is a long history with rum. It goes back many centuries to some darker times in human history with the sugar industry. However, now it has evolved anywhere where you can you've got warm weather and people can grow sugarcane, into a very complex liquid. Globally, rum would be as big, if not bigger, a category than whiskey, but it just doesn't have the knowledge in this part of the world because there's been such an amazing revival of the Irish whiskey industry. What we've tried to do with our liquids is bring some of that better quality liquid to whiskey lovers. And that's part of why we do a number of different finishes. The sample that you guys have in front of you is our single malt cask finish. So we've brought over an 8-year-old an 8-year-old pure sugarcane rum from Panama. And then it has been aged in the cask that has previously had that 19-year-old Colla. So that's why myself and Gareth are here today. We have a very close partnership with the guys in Ahascra to bring that whiskey finish to our rums. And we like to try and position them then as a whiskey lover's rum for people who've maybe in the past thought rum is just stuff with captains and sea pirates and sea creatures on the barrel, and that's not what rum can be. Rum can be more sophisticated, more refined. Our specific one, as I said, it's pure sugar cane. So we work with a distillery in Panama, in a province called Herrera, which is on the Pacific coast. It's got a rich volcanic soil, and it produces a very high quality, very flavoursome sugarcane to start with. Sugarcane as a material for producing liquid from is a very sustainable crop. You'll get 10 to 12 yields a year from it, so it gives farmers a great opportunity to return investments on their land. The cane that we use, as I said, is sustainably sourced, so there's no additives in there in terms of how it's produced. And then once it's brought into the distillery, it's just pressed, pure liquid, and then it's left to ferment for 3 days. That starts the process before then it gets distilled. The guys that we work with in the distillery, it's Authentico Nativo. They have a 100-year-old column still. It's outdoors, there's lots of character in it, and they put the liquid through that to distill it. It then gets 8 years in Panama in 90% ex-bourbon and 10% virgin oak casks. The climate in Panama is anywhere between 27 and 35 degrees all year round. So
Beautiful.
it is, it's not great for the Angels' share. They lose about 40% over those 8 years. However, it does create a very rich, concentrated flavour in that liquid that we then, as I said, bring over, and then we finish for up to 12 months in casks in Ahascra with the guys down there. So this one, as I said, it's been finished in the cask that had the 19-year-old Clonculla in it previously.
So you distill it in Ireland, you ship it over to Panama?
No, it's distilled in Panama
Okay.
and then brought over here to be aged and finished. So the rules with rum are a little bit looser, shall we say, than with whiskey. And because it's been aged and finished here, we're allowed to call it an Irish rum, as opposed to, like, you know, with whiskey where it has to have been entirely on the island.
And the style, you said, it was neither British, French, nor Spanish?
No, it is Spanish. Yeah, it's a Spanish style. So British, you would think of those dark rums like Pussers or Old Navy, and then, like, you know, French, you would have a little bit more earthiness in there. We went with a Spanish style. We believed that it led itself to being a little bit more amenable to the cask finishes. And with this one, I think in particular, it takes on a lot of the character that was there from the Clonculla. It's a very different liquid, but it takes on some of those characteristics, as I said. So you will get some of that caramel, you get some vanilla, and a little bit of golden fruits. Yes?
How long was it in the whiskey barrels?
So for this one, it's usually about 8 months. So we have some that are up to 12, but this one's about 8 months.
And the whiskey barrels after that, will they go back from Killowen down to use again?
I haven't asked what you do with them after that, so that's...
Trade secret.
Well, we're coming to that shortly, aren't we?
Are we?
We will be coming to
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, there's a good ecosystem there in terms of how the casks get
circular.
used. Yeah. So we do 4 different expressions. This will be our entry into the range in terms of giving you a good understanding of what a whiskey finish rum can be. We do a Amarone cask finish, which is what is in your little sample of the month number 1. That one has been aged in a cask that has had a whiskey in it as well. It has been another Colla. Gareth can talk about that one. And then it's had our rum. It's a whole different experience out of this. So what you will find with our liquids is it's a really great education of what casking can achieve. We use the same starting rum in all of our casks, and then you get entirely different results out at the far end. Frequently with a lot of whiskies, there'll have been a different distilling technique, it'll have been cut, it'll have been blended, and you won't necessarily realise just what the cask has added. Same starting liquid for us, but very different outputs at the end.
So the Amarone and Tony, are they whiskey finished Amarone and Tony, or are they wine barrels that you're filling rum in?
It's a wine barrel, then whiskey, and then our rum.
That's it.
Yeah, just double checking. Sometimes you say these things out loud. I was like, is that definitely what I've been saying the right way?
We've got some comments saying that it's quite less sweet than a typical rum, the ones that they know, but still very nice and very flavorful.
So that's good to know. A lot of people who have perceptions of rum of being sweet will have been drinking what's known as, well, it would be a molasses style rum. That is how most rum is made, and that is from processing the sugar cane. You get that treacle molasses, which gives you a much higher sweetness. Using the pressed sugarcane liquid gives you that lighter sweetness, a smoother body, and it gives you an overall nicer drinking experience, we would feel. We've designed them so that you can drink them neat, you can drink them over ice, but equally you can mix them into any number of drinks that you might do with whiskey or rum or something entirely new. We think it's quite versatile.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
You said there was 3 styles. So did the Spanish bring rum to the Caribbean?
It goes back to the days of their empires and those colonies that they had in those parts of the world. Those styles developed there. They didn't bring rum to us.
So they were making rum.
Yeah,
there.
they were making it there in different techniques, and then
Is there no Caribbean style? No,
the Caribs that were historically there previously weren't distilling rum themselves. It was a result of empires and the sugar plantations that were founded in the kind of not just the Caribbean. You get rum in the Philippines. There's even rum being made in Australia now. Anywhere within the tropics that you have that climate, you're able to get rums now, and there's some really interesting liquids out there. So in time we will expand to have limited editions that will be from different origins. We're in talks with a few interesting people at the moment that can source us some interesting liquids to do that. But our core 4 are the single malt that you guys have tried, the Amarone you're about to try or take home with you to try, our Oloroso cask and our peated cask. The peated cask recently won the world's best column still rum at this year's World Rum Awards. So it's legitimately good. It's not just me saying that. So we're very... So we're very appreciative of that it's gotten that recognition on a global scale. So that's it from me, unless anybody has any other questions. No?
You might move on to the...
Yeah, sure, if people want to try the Amarone one. So this one, if you want to empty your glass and refill it with the little one or bring it home with you.
You don't need to encourage these folks.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah. This one, as I said, the cask started out with Amarone wine in it. Then it's had the Colla, the 20-year-old in it, and then it's had our rum in it. As I said, you will get an entirely different experience from this liquid, whereas the previous one had a lot more whiskey character to it. This one, well, I'll let you try before I start telling you too much about what I feel that you might taste out of it. I don't like to lead the witnesses, so to speak. Mm-hmm.
What percentage does the rum still at?
65. Yeah, so our peated is 65, and we, it comes off at higher. Our cask strength is 65. It comes off at about 90, and then it's brought down, aged there, and we work from 65, what we import at. So the single malt was 43. The Amarone is 44%, a little bit stronger. That's just where we felt that the flavour worked right with it. So if you've had a chance to try it now, I find that you get a lot more, you get a stone fruit flavour in there, peach, apricot, some little hints of golden raisins, and then you get a reasonably long finish with a bit of milk chocolate on the end of it. That one for a long time was my personal favorite of our range. That was usurped by our limited edition vintage tawny port finish, which we did 2 casks of. That's my absolute favorite. We did that. Sorry?
It's gone? Or?
There's still some of it around. We only released it in Ireland. We did 781 bottles of it. There's 3 of them in my attic for when my son is older. Yeah, you can still get it online or from the likes of the Celtic and the Corkscrew. That one is, yeah, it's beautiful. It's like the Amarone but on steroids. So you've got rich red, the vintage tawny port cask. So that one leads more with cherry, with plum. It's got a richer, rounder flavour. It's got a slightly darker colour. It's taken on the port character, and that one's really special.
This one is like very spicy and stays for a long time. Amarone one just hangs around for a really long time.
Yeah, a nice long finish on it.
Yeah, you mentioned that particular the vintage tawny port that's available in Corkscrew.
Yep, they've got that there. And he'll sort you out.
What would be the spice?
The vintage tawny port is 99.
Okay.
So the Amarone is 65, the single malt is 55, and the peated would be 90-ish.
So we just have a comment from our online. So on the 2 rums, the second is much more fruit compared to the dryness. Yeah.
So you have a question, sir?
Is the aging of whiskey barrels unique to Ireland, or is that something?
So it's unique to us. Nobody else has taken rum and aged it in Irish whiskey barrels. So we're a world first approach to it. There are other people who age rum in other casks from other parts of the world, but nobody's doing what we're doing. So it's a world first. And you will try other rums later on this evening from other companies. Other people take different approaches. They bring molasses over and they ferment it and distill it here. We've left the expertise of that with where we felt that they did a really good job with it in Panama, and then combined it with the casking skills and knowledge that are in Ireland, particularly with the guys in Ahascra.
Very good.
The peated one, where did the cask come from? Or like where does the peat come from?
It's originally a Scottish whiskey with quite a pronounced peat in it.
Lafroig?
It may do. It's then mellowed with one of the Ahascra whiskies, takes some of the edges off it, and then you get a lovely strong nose of peat, but it's very delicate on the palate. It's definitely one, even though it's cask strength, for enjoying neat to sip. It doesn't have a burn for being 65%. If you're used to drinking spirits, which this audience would be, it's very definitely a complicated liquid.
It's interesting what you said about the impact of the casks have, because on the comments online we've got someone saying the second one much sweeter.
Okay.
Whereas the first one, someone was commenting that it's much less sweet than
Yeah.
the rum. So it is that cask influence.
Yep, it's the same liquid goes in, and then that just gives you that great example of what casking will do. Okay. Good. Yes.
I'm presuming it's quite niche here in Ireland yet.
Yeah.
So are you expecting it? What's your expectations for it?
So we really try and position this as being, as I said, the whiskey lovers rum. So where we try and position this is in premium independent off licenses, where people like yourselves be in and you're curious and you're looking for new stuff, have chats with the staff, and with similarly minded venues. So we would tend to be more with the independent high end of hotels and restaurants. So we have a really good partnership with the Dillon Hotel. You'll get us in Peblos, in the Ivy. It's those kind of venues. But probably quite a few years away from it being a mass market mindset. People would generally still be thinking of rum as being that really sweet stuff to just throw Coke on top of. And if you want to throw Coke on top of it, I'm not going to show up and take it back from you. You enjoy the liquid as you want. I won't pontificate on it. But the vast majority of consumers know. So most of my job is focused on export. Yeah, so rum is a huge category, as I was saying, around the world. It's much more developed as a category, even in other countries in Europe. And there's such knowledge around Irish whiskey now that it creates interesting conversations for people.
Presentation.
Yeah.
It's like it's too shortish.
Yeah, so with the label that we have, and yes, we do say that it's an Irish rum. We don't hide the fact that it starts life in Panama. You've got the coast of Panama here on the label, and then you've got the west coast of Ireland here. So you've got from the shores of Panama to the shores of Ireland. The sustainability piece that is important to the guys in Ahaskra is also important to us. So we don't laminate our labels. It's a vegetable-based ink. It'll biodegrade. It's a natural resin that's in the stopper. It's a wooden cap. So it makes as small an impact as possible. And we have Origin Green accreditation from Board Bia as well as part of that. So that helps us with the export piece. Board Bia does a great job with championing Irish spirits abroad.
Now it looks amazing.
Thank you very much.
Okay. It tastes amazing.
Even better.
You want to put this? Yeah. Okay, so me again. There was a question about what do we do with our casks after we have disgorged them and bottled the rum for Two Shores for Adam and Jason. So we have a brand, we've got a Clanculla 7-year-old grain that's finished in rum casks. So now you know where the rum comes from. So all the casks in the Two Shores range, once they're disgorged of the rum, except the peated ones, all the ones, there's the malt, the Amarone, the port, are all then used to finish our 7-year-old single grain. And that's blended together. So it's kind of what we got going here with Adam and Jason and Two Shores. It's kind of like a circular thing. The rum is brought in, we season it in our casks, we then finish it, bottle, label it for them, and then those same casks then are reused to finish our single grain 7-year-old. So that's how it works. So the more rum that's sold that these guys bring in and sell, the more finishing we can do with these rum casks, with our 7-year-old grain. So that's the 7-year-old you have here. I don't know, are you tasting it or are you bringing it home? I mean, it's a grain.
It's G&D, right?
Sorry?
Is it G&D? I mean, it is G&D.
G&D, yeah. Yeah, it's G&D grain. In the Ahaskra, we do have a large, tall building that we eventually will kit out with column stills and do our own grain someday. But at the moment, we get our grain from G&D. So this is the. I better pour it myself, and so I can remember what it smells and tastes like. Michelle, my wife, calls this when you nose it. She calls it Christmas in a bottle, because of the rum influence on the grain, on the whiskey. And we did launch at Christmas a year ago, 12 months ago. So you do get on the nose of very, dried fruits, maybe baking spices. You get that fruitiness coming through. That rum influence is definitely there. Then on the taste, it's incredibly smooth. Yeah, it's a while since I've had it.
It tastes and smells like you are next to a fire, but on the smoke. So when it's
interesting,
burning,
like the charred grains and that kind of cooked.
Yes,
yeah. I mean, it does very well at Christmas first because of that kind of style you're getting, and also the rum influence. You get some nutmeg from cinnamon coming through as well. That's clearly from the rum influence, Christmassy feeling. But it's a very smooth finish as well. I think I'm a big fan of single grain whiskies generally, but I think when you get a good finish on a grain like this, especially like something aged like a 7-year-old, it can be quite exceptional, quite different. So that's our 7-year-old. That's how we do it. The grain is G&D. Yeah.
It's too young for Cooley. No, it's. I was saying it's too young for Cooley. Like Cooley would be, I don't know, 15, maybe older. G&D is like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, they're going that long for a set. One of the first grains they did. Yeah. So what do you think of it?
It's brilliant.
It's an easy drink, nice, smooth. It's an everyday drink. The 19-year-old is probably every other day. This is every day. This is probably every other day. Depending. Okay. Thanks.
You mentioned the Amarone one was in the 20-year-old, right?
Yeah, our picture there. Our 20-year-old single malts come in. We have two finishes: the Amarone and we got a 46% ABV Amarone finish on our 20-year-old malt. And we've also got a cask strength, 55%. And then we also have the 20-year-old finished in PX, Pedro Jimenez casks. The 20-year-old PX actually won gold in the Irish Whiskey Awards last year, so that's doing very, very well for us. But yeah, those casks, actually we should look at the PX.
Absolutely.
For a rum finish.
No, definitely. I have a few people looking for limited editions, so very keen to.
We could do that. It's a good idea. Glad I came. But yeah, that's where that comes from. Yeah.
Nice, brilliant. Any thoughts in the room?
Martin, together and do a deal on one rum and one whiskey.
A value
play. Yeah.
And how much do they all go for?
I did not take notes. So the 19 is...
The 19 is 210 on our website. And in our shop. But we don't control the end price.
How much is the 7-year-old?
65.
But not bad, yeah. Hold on. Wait. And the two shores, it was
55.
55, and the second one, the Amarone?
65.
Perfect. Cool. So yeah, we'll take a short break now, like, I don't know, 10 minutes? Yeah, 20 past. And then we'll come back and we'll enjoy the other ones, like Matt will introduce us to the Killowen Rum and Whiskey, and then we'll go to the Port Mourant and the Dunvilles expression. Cool. See you guys in a bit.
Great.
I hope that was
Give me a second, some people are still coming back from. And it's the Windrush Justice Fund. I think it's 20 past now, so yeah, we'll call it for.
I give him 3 more minutes.
Comments? Oh, so they can hear me now. I'm gonna give out to you in a minute. More comments, please.
12 people watching, so we can ask people.
Well, 12 people watching, you're one of them. We've won, yeah.
Just like one person missing and that's it?
Yeah.
Here, right?
Yeah, well, they can hear it. Yeah. We'll call it. Yeah, we'll call it. Good evening, folks. I'm Matthew. I'm not Brendan Carty, to your very much disappointment. I know he's probably busy there's something happening in Belfast. Something with a whole week worth of whiskey. Something's happening up there. I don't know. He's busy there. So I have the joys today of talking to you about the whiskey and the rum from Killowen. I'm the guy from YouTube, yes. So we have those two very nice whiskey and rum in front of you here today. So we're going to talk about them. It's an interesting little thing what Brendan's doing. We're actually just talking about his kind of maturation and fermentation process up in his distillery, shed, lab, whatever you want to call it. It's up a tiny little road. If you ever try and go up it, it's a disaster. You try and call a taxi to it after you've had a couple of samples at his bar. The taxi says, yeah, I'll be there in half an hour. You call half an hour later, I'll be there in half an hour. Yeah, they get lost. But yeah, fantastic little distillery. And interestingly, what he does is wild fermentation. So we've heard a little bit about the production of rum, but what Brendan does is slightly different. He makes the rum in Ireland. He uses blackstrap molasses and sugar. So he uses both of those together in the rum. Gives you a slightly different flavour. Gives you a different kind of a profile. But he kind of matures it here in Ireland. So he ferments it in Ireland. He wild ferments it. So if you ever walk up, you walk into what is essentially a driveway of a distillery, and there's just fermentation units just going off beside you, open to the air, wasps, flies, everything delicious. They all come through in the flavour. You all taste them deliciously. Really, really nice, but he's having a bit of trouble with climate change, obviously, with winter, with wind, with everything. Depending on the summer, he's going to have different batches. So we have batches of his rum is made. I think the sample we got tonight is from batch number 4. That's been around for a while. I think there's only 400 bottles of it made. He has told me, though, that this week they have batch number 5 going up on the website. So you will be able to get it. It's just being a bit harder for them to produce the rums that they kind of use. And that's very important, because what they do with their rums after they've aged their whiskies, after they've aged their rums in the cask, they use those casks to finish their kind of signature core product, their Rum and Raisin, which you've also got for you to taste tonight. So we're going to start off, I'm going to grab my sample, with their little dark rum. This is a dark style rum, not a light rum. Now, if you talk to most people who say what a dark rum is, they'll say, why isn't it black? Most rums, when you look at them, they don't really come in black, except if you add colouring to it. So a lot of rums, Gosling's Black Seal rum, they just add colouring to it to get it to that kind of black colour, rather than actually having it as a dark rum. So you have a dark rum and a white rum. It's kind of how you should look at it. This here is a light-ish dark rum, but it is still a dark rum. It has been aged in 4 different casks. I'm a fidgeter. I've heard people laughing when I threw the bottles around. I know there's rum in this one as well. What if I dropped it?
Carpet.
It'd be fine. It's carpet. So what they do is they age it in 4 different kinds of casks. If we're familiar with a Solera system, we're familiar with a Solera system, so it goes from top to bottom. They've got 4 casks. I tried to memorize them off by heart. Haven't been able to remember them exactly, so I will be reading it from here. But what they do is they, like a classic Solera system, they take from the bottom and they refill from the top down. So the rum from If you empty half of cask number 4, you refill it with half of cask 3, half of cask 2, half of cask 1, and then you refill cask 1 with new system, and it all flows through. So the 4 casks they use are heavily charred Cabernet Sauvignon wine casks, ex-bourbon firkins, PX sherry casks, and peated Irish whiskey casks. So they use those, and those come through in the rum at the end of the day. Comes through at 55% ABV, so it is quite high in proof compared to the other samples we've got tonight. So just be careful with it. It will have a lot of kind of heavyweight funk because we're using more of those blackstrap molasses. It's going to have a bit of more of that weight, maybe a little bit burned, but also with that more sweetness that we were talking about earlier, where the Two Shores rum uses that pressed cane sugar. You get the cane sugar juice. You get more of that kind of almost like natural sugar. And here you're going to get more of that deeper, funkier, heavyweight sugary sweetness. Different styles obviously give different kind of flavors, just like we would different kind of whiskies. Interestingly, one thing that was touched on earlier, which I actually quite appreciated you touching on, was that the rum trade has a history in colonialism. It has a very bad history as well. Like we all heard of plantation rum, which has renamed to Plantaray in recognition of that kind of terrible idea of a plantation where people would be worked as slaves. And one thing that Brendan is doing, Brendan, I'm fairly certain,
Doesn't have any slaves.
doesn't have any slaves, but one, he has a little message here on the back of the bottle, and I'll read it out. For every bottle that are sold, £1 will be donated to the Joint Committee for the Welfare of Immigrants Windrush Justice Foundation, or Fund, which pays respect to those who created one of the world's greatest spirits. So it is that kind of recognition of the kind of troubled legacy that rum does have, and that has given us a great spirit, but we do have to recognize that it's not the kind of cleaner nature that we might associate with whiskey. It does have a lot of exploration in the past, but at the same time, it is still a fantastic product that we can move into the future and hopefully move past that legacy. So it is quite a nice kind of recognition of the history, but also keeping the rum going forward. Immediate thoughts. What do we think about it? Chewy, we have. I should have said earlier on, folks online, make sure to put comments on. Imagine you're at a table here and you're talking to folks online. I can't always see the comments. I have to rely on people yelling them out. So if you're at a table at home, imagine you've got some people sitting around you. I saw some comments coming in earlier. Just comment, chat to each other, say how you're doing, say what you think about it, and we'll also hear them in the room. So make sure to remember that. And also for those folks in the room, these little sample bottles, we can't reuse them. So take them home. If you want, you can reuse them. You can take some samples home for yourselves. If you maybe drink your sample of the Clanculla 7-year-old, but you want to keep that Port Mourant rum from later on, you can use that. We can't reuse it. So just take those sample bottles home. Otherwise, we're just going to throw them away.
So we have some tasting notes in from online. So dark flavors.
Cigars,
burnt sugar,
leathery.
Very nice for the benefit of it.
Yeah, like we were saying, it has that kind of funkiness to it, that kind of heavyweight. I need a better tasting note than funky. Any takers? Dry. Yeah.
Like funky.
Funky, but I'm trying to that kind of, yeah, you get that heavyweight. Tangy, yeah. Tangy, better than funky. Kind of blackberry jam.
So talking about different styles,
Yeah.
like the French agricole,
Yeah.
was kind of raw. It's much more like that style. You strip your teeth, dryness.
Yeah, we had a comment in the room there saying that it's kind of like a French agricole style rum where it's very dry and it'll strip you said strip the enamel from your teeth. I'm not sure that's a great tasting note, but
It's close to a whiskey.
yeah, it's close to a whiskey where you get that. I mean, Brendan uses the same stills, so it's not a different kind of still. He does his classic semi-filling them, getting that kind of more copper content, getting the more clean kind of production going through it. Does anyone get any of the influence from the casks? Now, we did have a lot of casks. Bit of smoke, bit of peat, heavily charred Cab Sauv, the bit of peat, you're going to get that bit of smoke coming through. With a bit of smoke, yeah, the water, it'll break up those oils, release the, yeah. The ABV is 55%, and if you had been listening earlier, you would have heard that.
Yeah.
Boo, Alex. Selective hearing. And that Solera system is interesting because what Brendan is doing with the cask he's got, because with the whiskey we're going to get to in a moment, he takes those casks, and if they're maybe used up or used in one way, they can be not recycled, but given a new life with that Solera system. You can kind of get that creative, because if you ever go to his distillery, he'll take you up the road a little bit to a shed that's honestly not much bigger than this room. And if I said it was full of casks, like it's full of casks. You like, there's some down there in the back, but I've no idea what they are because I can't get to them without taking out 500 casks in the front. It's packed. So he has that idea of like reusing what he's got, making most use of what he's got, and that idea, to go back to the idea of like the sustainability of whiskey. It can be very wasteful. It can be very like, you throw away the grains, you throw away the fuel, you throw away everything. But that reusing of casks, giving you things new life, I think is good. And can we agree? Is it a little bit of an agreement? A bit of a more agreement. We have a comment.
I know we're placing the cask strength here, but there's some water to it, and so it's making it compare more directly with the two shores rum. And you tell the difference between the kind of molasses-based rum and the pressed cane sugar. The pressed cane sugar is much more kind of close. It doesn't have a kind of like I don't know, like orange toffee kind of.
More fresh, let's say.
Yeah. So for those online,
fresher, just more approachable in that regard.
Yeah.
This is nice. You know something wrong.
Yeah. For the folks online, the comment in the room was that after diluting down to about the same ABV, going from 55 down to about 43%, the Two Shores rum was more approachable, kind of more, you said fresh? More fresh, whereas the Killowen rum is much more like burnt toffee, brown sugar, that heavy duty flavors. Dense. Yeah.
Did you say that the next batch of that
it's going to be live this week? I think there was 400 bottles in this batch, was there? Sorry, can I?
Did you say this week?
Yeah, there was 400 bottles. This is bottle 370.
No, we say this week, so tomorrow.
I was just told this week, so it might already be out. But so it's going to be what they call a seamless. So it's going to move from batch 4 to batch 5 without any fanfare. So it's not. It just means that there will be more bottles of this rum available. Yeah. And now, folks, we're going to move on to the Rum and Raisin, which, sorry, I'm going to reach across here. The Rum and Raisin. Who here has tried, just by rough show of hands, the new Rum and Raisin? We have one hand, two hands, and three. So there's 3 hands in the room. So most people have tried the new Rum and Raisin. Who has tried the old Rum and Raisin? A lot more hands. Do you remember which batch you had? All of them we've heard, yeah. To all of them twice we've heard, yeah. So the old batches were from Colla Distillery. So they were Rum and Raisin whiskies, and I'll explain what they were in a second. With the new cask, with the new kind of sample they've done, is they've moved to G&D. This is going to mean they've got kind of a more consistent product, because before Brendan was kind of buying in batches, and you could see like with the special edition they did for Whiskey Live Dublin, there was always a bit of a variance between them. Hopefully with this he's going to get a bit more of a consistency, because with that Baron Tool range that they have now, the kind of true to the nature, true to the original whiskey range they've got, they're going to have that more consistent product. So they're moving from that kind of idea of batches and individuals and rare things and batch 4 is terrible but batch 5 is great, into a consistent product where you can talk, Killowen whiskey is A, or it's B, or it's C. It can talk about it the way it is. So that's what we got here with the Rum and Raisin. This one right here. This is the Rum and Raisin. Comes in at 55% ABV, and I'll say again, Alex, comes in at 55% ABV.
It says so on the mat.
It says so on the mat. It says so on the mat. So it's 55% ABV, and what they do is they rum and raisin finish. They take a whiskey, it's about 4 to 6, about 5 years old. They don't give an age statement to it. It's not really important about when the whiskey's ready. Of course, most people will say that, but they don't give an age statement. So about that age, about 5 years old, in bourbon casks. And then they take the whiskey and they split it up. They take the whiskey, split it up, and they put half it into PX sherry casks, where you get that raisin, you get that dense sherry, you get a lot of that flavour. And then they put the other half into the rum casks, and the rums we have just tasted here. So at that same rum cask, so that's where we have the influence of that rum coming through. So you get that sweetness from the sherry, but also that sweetness from the rum. You get that sweetness and vanilla from the bourbon. You get a lot of sugary sweetness coming through, counteracted with that single malt kind of earthiness, the single malt kind of caramel, roasted grains, and that little bit of, I don't know, almost grassiness. Like when you get that higher ABV, you get that kind of like sharp, clear, grassy note kind of coming through almost. Immediately, any thoughts in the room? Not bad. Okay.
What's the price?
The price of both. Sorry, the price of both these is about €70 retail. It is originally sold in GBP because it'll be in the north of Ireland, but it's €70, roughly exactly the same right now. I think about that. It's a good price, yeah. Oh, and sorry, I just realised when I was talking about it with the rum. Just to go back, the rum is 2.5 times distilled. Some of you might say, how the hell do you distill something 2.5 times? Very simple. You distill it once, you take that liquid, you distill it twice, you take that liquid, you take half it, you leave it. You take the other half, you distill it 3 times. Combine it 2.5 times. It's some distilleries have done it experimental with whiskey, where you go 2.5 times, where you get maybe a little bit cleaner, and then you have that more kind of with the flavour, with the more of the whiskey coming through. That's just what they do with the rum. It's 2.5 times.
But question then, when you say that, is it one triple distill and one double distill where the second stage are different, or is it one distill, 2 distill, which is the same, then you have triple distill, so you're actually mixing the third still distillate with what was the second stage in a triple distill as opposed to the second stage in a double distill.
We need a Venn diagram.
Okay, for the question, yeah, Jack's going to explain. For the question online, it was were you taking a rum that was going to be distilled 3 times and we leaving it at 2, or taking a rum that was going to be distilled twice and moving it on, or is it a different batch, or is it? As far as I'm aware, it's the same batch. So it starts off in the same place, and it goes through once, goes through twice, and then is divided into 2. So you have one. It's the same product with half of it. As far as I'm aware, that's how they do it. Yeah. So it's this. It's the same. That gets split. Half it stays behind, and half it moves forward. Which means that the second half will go smaller, because obviously it'll be a reductive process.
The second stage, you have no intention of that being.
And don't forget, Brendan only has 2 stills, so he has to reuse one of his stills. So it won't even be. It'll be the same design that's still going through. Yeah.
Well, Jack, you were saying the answer.
We'll get Jack to explain that down there.
You've got it all wrong.
Oh. Jack's just said you've got it all completely wrong. The 4th and 5th stage. Okay, he's having a good time. Couldn't have said it less clearly myself. Any thoughts in the room? It's lovely.
Yeah, it is.
Like Jaffa cakes on the nose. Any thoughts online? Any thoughts from our distiller friends and our brand ambassador friends here on? Not to be saying good things. Not to be saying good things about other products, but.
Oh, it's nice. It's got a lot of character.
Yeah.
It's you can pick up on the different casks from it. So it's. It's one where I can see how I could drink it. Probably be more inclined towards some of those. That's what I was whispering to Gareth about. It's a nice liquid.
Good.
What cocktail would use the rum?
The rum.
The question was, what cocktail would use the rum in?
Put me on the spot there. Yeah, no, I don't have a rum that has that kind of flavour profile, okay. So I haven't thought about it yet. I would need to give that thought. I'm not just giving a basic answer like a dark and stormy. Yeah.
I found that this rum, and some people might crucify me for saying it, but the blackberry rum as well, goes really well in a daiquiri. An original daiquiri, a classic daiquiri, nothing frozen, nothing stupid. 2 ounces, like a classic sour, 2 ounces of this, or 2 parts of it, 1 ounce of lime juice, 1 ounce of sugar on like a big rock of ice. Stir that down. Very, very tasty. You get a lot of the flavor that rum still comes through with a bit of lime juice, with a bit of sugar, lightening it up. Not dominating the spirit, not going into like a frozen drink where it's you wouldn't waste this with that, but you still get that flavor. And it's like one of those questions with a rum, almost like the test of quality is, does it daiquiri? Does it go nice as it is? Nice maybe on the rocks if you're having a very hot day, but nice in a classic simple daiquiri, like the way you would have with a whiskey with an old fashioned. For me, the classic rum cocktail is that classic daiquiri, that 2-1-1.
We have requests to make the video, or the daiquiri making video. There's a couple of requests from our info online, so apparently it's the thumper kegs that give it to 0.5. So distilled in the 2 stills and then the thumper keg. And then also there's some nice commentary as well. There's a youth in the rum and raisin, almost like a single grain. And then with the ABV as well, it's more prominent, but a very nice balance as well.
I think what's different is that for the rum with rum,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
so it's got a much more herby taste. So if you think of like teeling a small batch or
Yeah. It might be like PX influence. So the question for those online was that normally with a rum you almost smooth things out, you round things out with a sugary sweetness. It could be the style of rum they're using because it might be that kind of heavy duty funky molasses and the PX sherry as well, giving you that really rich syrupy sweetness that then when you add that funky rum kind of influence to it, you get that almost rougher edges to it. Yeah. So I think that's enough listening to me.
Yep.
Don't say no.
Is it true?
It's true. If it's true, you'll say it. And I'll pass you back to Alex, who's going to go on to the last 2 samples of the night, which I think we're probably all most interested about.
Yeah, so these guys are basically... I need notes for this because it's a complicated history with these guys. So, no, like bloody A4 notes. So the first one we are going to taste will be a Port Mourant. And if anybody here is a rum fanatic, they will say, okay, Port Mourant, I know what this is. It's an amazing rum. It's pretty much, if it is before the 2000s, it is unobtainium. So it doesn't exist because the distillery where this was distilled is not there anymore, right? So what is the story with Port Mourant and why is it important? Basically, the distillery started on the Port Mourant estate in 1732. So basically 250 years ago, let's say, almost 300 years ago. That thing was a sugar plantation, a cotton plantation, a dark history plantation, let's say. They moved the stills after a while. So basically the plantation disappeared, went away. The stills, and I'll talk about the stills in a moment, they were moved to, so Port Mourant closed in 1955, 200 years, not bad. And the stills were moved to Albion Distillery. Albion didn't last too much. It was closed in 1967, so 15 years. After that, they were moved to, if you search this online, you will see it's very hard to pronounce, but it's called Iflut Distillery. It says, so how do you pronounce this thing?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, exactly. So, basically, most of the Guyana rum, and this is a Guyana rum, and I will talk about this in a moment as well, but most of the fancy, sippable, very, very old rums were distilled at this Iflut distillery, right? This closed around 2000, and everything was moved to Diamond Distillery, where, pretty much all the distillation in Guyana takes place right now. Okay, let's go back to the Port Mourant stills and why they are important. They are made out of wood. Oh, come on. It's a bloody wooden steel. The first thing you'd think, okay, fire and wood. No, basically what they did, they took the wooden steel and they ran steam coils in it. And then, basically you heat up the wash and then you condense it somewhere else and then, eventually get rum. No, these guys, what they did was they got 2 steels. Basically, you have the first steel, you fill it with wash. You have the second steel, you fill that one with wash. And you run the swan neck from the first steel into the wash of the second steel. You heat both of them up at the same time. The first steel, steam or distillate, let's say, goes into the second one. It gets concentrated a bit, and then it gets heat up, and then that thing goes into another, it's not a still anymore, it's called a retort. That thing, the swan neck from the second still goes into the retort of the whatever thing, and then that thing goes through a rectifier, and then the rectifier goes somewhere else, and eventually you get rum. So, Yes.
Is there copper contact?
Oh yeah. So the steel itself is made out of wood. The top, the cap, the thingy is made out of copper. So yes, there is a bit of copper contact there. But yeah, basically this one is insane because yeah, it's made out of wood 200 years ago. When you think, okay, 200 years wood, moisture, do I replace stuff? Is it the same steel as 200 years ago? And then you run into the ship of Theseus experiment thing. No. So we don't. Oh shit, wrong one. Sorry. I actually in my notes. Yeah. So yeah, basically what they do is when we start the distillation, this takes roughly 16 hours. So the moment they start everything, they start with the 2 stills, they fill them up, and then after 16 hours, they are done with everything. And yeah, they don't use fresh juice, they use molasses. And they are one of the biggest molasses consumers in Guyana. And yeah, it's just yeah, insane volume. Also, come on, don't taste it just yet. It says all Demerara rum. So why is this important? And don't quote me on this. Quote the guy on YouTube where I got this from. But wait for it. Has to be true. Oh yeah, exactly. So there is GI behind this. If you see something that's Guyana rum, period, it means it was from Guyana. From that, oh yeah, everything is in Diamond Distillery right now. So the spirit came from Diamond Distillery, but the water may have come from something else. In order for you to put Demerara rum on the bottle, the water must have come from the Demerara River. So basically, if it says just Guyana rum, it was 50% whatever cask strength. You dilute it to, this guy is 46.7 with water from UK or whatever, right?
I thought that Demerara was sugar.
Yeah, but Demerara rum, so, you know, like it's Irish pot still versus Irish whiskey. It's the same thing, kind of like, the GI, yeah. So the GI would say, for you to put Demerara rum, it needs to have water from the Demerara River, which is fancy.
Demerara sugar come from?
I have no idea. Well,
It might be grown in the river.
oh yeah, so the Demerara River, Demerara sugar plantation, Demerara everything. So maybe it's yeah. And let's see. Yeah. So this specific one, and I'm going to refer to my notes. Basically, this specific one, this is a 1990s expression. So it was distilled in the Iflute. Yeah, in the Iflute distillery. So it was distilled in the fancy one. If you go a few years later and somebody here showed me a bottle, somebody showed me a bottle, it says Diamond Distillery. So it's not the same distillery anymore. It is in a different location. And interesting thing about the Diamond Distillery, they have, I think, 5 or 6 different stills. So they have the old Port Mourant stills, the wooden ones. They have the I don't know if it's Versailles or something else, but they have one that's like, you don't have 2 stills, you just have 1 wooden still. And these are kind of pot stills. You have a wooden column still, which is insane, again, crazy people. And then you have a bunch of metal stills. But yeah, let me get my glass and see how this thing is.
So on consulting the internet, Demerara is a region in Guyana and also the river.
On the river, yeah.
Is that where the sugar comes from?
I imagine so.
Or the style of sugar.
Or the style of it.
So I'm not going to bother you with taste. Fine. I'm not going to bother people with tasting notes because mine are bad and I didn't really take. Oh yeah, dried cherries, oak char, vanilla, caramel, leather, anise, and nutmeg. So oh yeah, and this has a bit of port influence compared to the next thing that we are going to taste. So what do people think about this 32-year-old spirit? I know, it's amazing. Yeah. Who says sandalwood? Perfect. Yeah. Does it actually taste old? It doesn't.
Too long.
What?
I think it's been too long. The nose is fabulous.
Okay.
It's almost like an astringency.
So for the people online, there is a bit of feedback saying that this spent a bit too much time in the wood. So you get a bit more tannins, right? Because the tannins tend to be a bit more astringent. That's interesting. The next one will have a very interesting side note to what you just said. So yeah, basically this would be 32 years in the cask. I don't think I mentioned, oh yeah. So it was initially matured in refill American oak before being finished in export. It doesn't really say how long it was finished for, so.
Did they forget about it, or was it deliberate?
Both. We don't know, but it is interesting. Like 32-year-old, it's one of those unicorn rums that you are, it's hard to find, you are never really going to touch, so enjoy. The price on it, I think, 350 euros on Master of Malt. So, yeah, basically, if you have a friend in the UK, it's 350 euros-ish. If you try to import it here, it's a bit of a pain because taxes. Cool. And now, the thing is like, what happens when you go for presentation? Hold on.
Drum roll, please.
No, wait for it, because I have to. I'm trying not to drop it. So, a few people may have heard about Dunvilles, right? And a few people may. What? Yeah, and a few people may have seen the very rare stuff, but I think few people have actually tried the Port Mourant finish. And this is crazy because the rum that was used is, Port Mourant is not this specific one, but a 41-year-old rum. Oh yeah, and the presentation is, so hold on, let me.
Yes. This is the lid of the box.
And this is the box of the box, so.
It's like a
Then there's one for everyone.
one person.
Yeah, so basically you get, when you buy this, it's around 600 quid, 600 pounds, like proper British pounds. So this thing, it would be, but wait for it, because it gets better. So you get that thing, you get this thing, and you can actually get a sample of, and I'm going to pass this around, I hope it makes it back, because... No, this or this?
The sample bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, this is a sample of the 41-year-old. Yeah.
Explain what the raffle again here.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No. Hold on, because it is vanilla essence, but not quite. But yeah, it's a 41-year-old rum. The rum that was actually in the barrel before it was used to finish the whiskey. And I need to get the bottle. Cool. So what happened here was the guys from Ecklinville managed to get their hands on, I believe it was 8 barrels of this amazing rum. It was decanted in again, check notes, 2015?
Wrong note.
No, yeah. So yeah, basically the rum was decanted in 2015, and then it's the liquid, again, Cooley liquid, it spent 3.5 years in those barrels. So, and actually, because Google lied to me, I actually had to ask the Ecklinville guys. So they bought a 10-year-old liquid from Cooley. They aged it in first fill. Anyway, they aged it further for 5 years in first fill or virgin oak or something. So, Cooley liquid ex-bourbon, they rebarreled it in another bourbon kind of barrel. And after that, at 15 years old, they finished it for 3.5 years in this Port Mourant cask, the 41-year-old, right? So, yeah, this is one of those things that's pretty much unobtainium. You can't really get it. also as a side note, and I found out last night when I was looking at the pictures, the online folks got cask 192, which is 57.1 ABV, and in person, we basically got the cask 194, which is 56.4 ABV. So, yeah, they have different. I didn't pay attention, or they didn't pay attention when they sent us. So, yeah, we got slightly different tasting notes. But yeah, this bottle and that presentation is just insane. What we are going to do is we are going to taste this now. I'm not going to bother with the tasting notes because if you look on the website, it's like, yeah, big. It's like a lot. They have the nose, it smells amazing, the tastes amazing, and whatever.
Volunteer your own tasting.
No, I'm not even going to do that because my tasting notes tend to be shit. So, yeah. Also, when that sample makes it back, when we are actually going to do a raffle towards the end of the year, maybe President's tasting or around that time. We are going to raffle the box.
With the beer.
The box with everything. Oh yeah, hold on. Wait. I forgot to mention this. So actually, the book. This book was done by, I think, Jarlath's sister. So it is a history of Dunvilles, a history of Dunvilles throughout the years. So this, it's kind of hard to see. I'll pass it around. Yeah, just have a quick look. It has labels. It has, basically the history, how the Dunvilles brand grew. And you can, whoever wins the box, technically you could go to Ecklinville Distillery and try to get a bottle because it will be a bit cheaper. And that, if they have any left. But yeah, if you win the box, you can talk to Ecklinville, buy the bottle, and it will be slightly cheaper than buying everything together. But yeah, let me know what you think about it because I have no idea. I haven't tasted it yet. Oh yeah. And so whoever wins the raffle will win the box with the mirror, the sample, and the book. So everything. Oh yeah, and the proceeds go to charity because it's a charity auction.
Charity auction.
Charity raffle.
How far? Okay, I can see the sample. It's still alive. It's still intact.
So far.
So, has anyone had the chance to taste this? What do we think about the whiskey? Toffee on the nose. Oh shit! Hold on, I forgot to mention. So, this is a 41-year-old. This was a 41-year-old rum, right? After 41 years in the cask, you would expect to taste essence of wood. This is not the case because what they did was at the 20-year mark, they actually recasked it to another bourbon cask. So it spent the first 20 years in one cask, and then we moved it to another cask. So basically, instead of going very, very tannin, very, very wood influence, they basically did double vanilla, and you get much more of that bourbon kind of influence. But it's a lovely spirit. Like it's one of those things you try once and you go like, thank you very much, and yeah, it was a very good tasting.
The Dunvilles DNA.
Okay.
The medical journal are proposing it was a good product.
Okay. So for the people that for the online people, there is a note in that book. It was the medical journal. So we can say in 1914 people were having this as medicine. So yeah, I would have this kind of medicine 24/7. Cool. Tasting notes online. What? I was asked to ask the people online to give tasting notes. Oh, wait for it. No, it's not done yet. Oh yeah. I see Garrett's glass is already gone, so you enjoyed it?
I love that single malt.
So, oh yeah, and it is, for the people that haven't read it, it's 18-year-old. So,
59%.
yeah. So cask strength.
It's like a lot of salted, really salted caramel.
Salted caramel. Why?
Because that's what I taste.
No, like I'm literally wondering where the salt, like, okay, Ecklinville is not really on the coast. I mean, it kind of is, but...
It's on the front of the salt, that's the front of the salt.
No, so I'm thinking, would the salt come from having the rum being matured somewhere on the coast-ish? Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so Garrett says that it tends to be the coolie DNA, so that kind of is it umami? No, it's not the umami note. It's something different. Like, to be honest, for me, coolie tends to be a bit burnt rubber, which I'm not really getting here. But no, it's just really nice. So, tasting notes: caramel and what tires? Yeah. But yeah, no, it's an interesting dram. It's yeah. So again, people are looking at the 600 euros, but the bottle itself is not 600 euros. The bottle itself, I think, is like 300-ish. So, and this was released in, give me a second. So this was bottled in 2019. So it's already like the bottle has been here for 5 years, right? The taxes. So taxes are a pain, but you are getting the presentation. So only that small sample, which is, I hope it's still floating. Yeah. So only the small sample. If you try to, perfect. If you try to get a bottle of that, and I believe it's the same bottle. I'm not sure. Google's. So the ABV add up, the distilling year add up, 1974. A bottle of that is around 1,500 pounds. So that would be around 1,700 euros. So that little yolk is around, divided by 35, 60, 70 euros. So just that 20 milliliter sample.
Sarah already has it on auction. So.
Exactly, yeah. So out of the box, only that thing is 70 euros. Then the mirror itself, again, like it's and the presentation overall, this thing is half the price, if not more. So yeah, it is expensive, but it was released for a special occasion. It is something that you are not.
We have some more tasting notes online as well. So we have toffee apple.
Okay, toffee apple.
And then we have, which I find really interesting, popping candy with lovely smoke.
Okay.
The lovely rum smoke, actually, to be specific as well.
So, does it taste a bit like the rum? Can anybody find the similarity between the 32-year-old and?
Much less dry.
Okay.
Very dry. It has a
Okay. So much less dry, but more sweet. Okay. Dry finish. Cool. Perfect. You know, that's pretty much it. So again, I'll take this. So this little sample and the box and everything else will go to a charity auction, hopefully by the end of the year. And yeah, again, whoever wins this, if they contact Ecklinville, you might be able to get a separate bottle so you can have your complete setup, complete box. So yeah, just keep an eye on our tastings and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this. So, oh yeah, hold on. Do we do the voting?
We'll do rum and whiskey separately.
Cool. Okay, so let's go for the rums.
Show of hands.
Oh, hold on, people.
Show of hands. And online, folks.
Are we including the sample bottles as well in the?
Yeah, you taste.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do everything. Okay, so.
Or just shout it.
Ali, tell the online folks to vote. Okay, so the single malt, hold on. The Two Shores single malt finished expression, the first rum that we had. How do I say this? Whose favorite expression was the first rum, the single malt? Oh, come on, it was a nice rum. 5, 6, 7, okay, come on, 8, 9. That's not bad. So, no, just once. So, let's say 10. Okay. So, the second sample, the sample of the month, the Amarone cask finish. Oh, you voted twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. Okay, 10. Let's say 9, 10. So pretty much the same. What's the next one? Oh yeah, the Killowen Rum, the Killowen Rum. 1. No, just 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. 12-ish. So the Killowen. Okay. And the Mourant? That's. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, actually, that's a good one. Yeah. Vote for your favorite rum in case you haven't voted yet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, it is the order that we tasted the rums in. And we'll wait a bit, but it turns out age doesn't matter. So how old is the rum, the Killowen rum?
Killowen rum will be at most a year.
Okay, so the Killowen rum 1 year ish.
Maybe depends on the year, the temperature, everything like that.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the Killowen Dark Rum and the Port Mourant?
So this bottle is 350 euros. Killowen is 70, so just 5 times more. But what? Oh yeah, whiskey. Hold on. So whiskeys. 19-year-old Clan Colla. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 ish. 11? 11. Okay. The Killowen Rum and Raisin. Is it 40? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh shit! Sorry. So the Clan Colla single grain 7-year-old. Yeah, rum finish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had let's say 15. So the Clan Colla single grain. Again, it was like 5 votes ish.
That's a 7-year-old.
Yeah, the 7-year-old. 1, 2. Yeah, so let's say 7 because yeah. What was the next one? The Killowen Rum and Raisin. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Okay, and the Dunvilles Port Mourant 14-1-year-old cask finish, blah blah blah, and all that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So yeah, basically hold on.
It keeps voting all the time.
I know, yeah. So, some people are voting all the time, but we are just going to go like this. So yeah, the Dunvilles won because 41-year-old cask or 20-year-old cask. Anyway, interesting rum, interesting spirit, and yeah, it spent quite a bit of time in that cask. So yeah.
Round of applause for Alex for putting this together. Round of applause for our guests.
Cool.
Applause for Malt for all the technology.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. Well, you guys enjoyed good stuff, so no. Speaking of putting things together, there will be an announcement coming over the next day or two. In August, towards the end, is it 21, 25? 24 of August, we are going to go for another distillery visit. It will be the church, oak. So, what? Yeah. So basically, it will be a very, very small. Come on. Yeah. So somebody mentioned it's not fully operational, and you're totally right. Basically, it will be a very small. We are just going to get a small glimpse of what's happening behind the scenes. I think they might just have whiskey, but they are not going to release stuff anytime soon. Like not this year, but most likely the year after. Yeah. So it will be, I think we're one of the first, if not the first, that are going to get the chance to see what's happening there as a site, as a club. So keep your eyes on the emails. We are going to send out something soon. It will be. It is a very small tour, so the tickets will sell out like this. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this tasting. I hope you are going to join us for Church of Oak. And yeah, thank you very much.
Just tell the folks I'm in the stream.
What?
Just say we're going to end the stream.
We are going to end the stream.